Welcome to the January 30th edition of Elements of Spirit, the weekly reading series from ediblespirit.com and moi, Michael Domitrovich. It's my great pleasure to bring you these readings every week. These readings are for the week of January 30th. These are readings through the elements. This reading will be for ether, which is the space within which all of the other elements are vibrating. And the way that this series works is that you check out this ether reading for a sense of the tone and tenor of the week. And then you check in with your individual element, which corresponds to your astrological sun sign, for information about how to work with that primary element that's in your nature within the space of this week. So it's kind of like a combo reading where the ether applies to everyone, and then the individual readings will teach you and guide you as to how to work with your element through the week. So in this description, I'll cover, in the description for this video below, I'll cover the signs and their associated elements. But just to remember, we all have a balance of these elements within us. They're all working all the time. And the theory, the inspiration behind this is that our time on this earth and in this life and in these bodies and with these spirits are a chance to play with and dance with the elements. The idea is that the earth experience that we're having can be understood through the reflection upon and consideration of these various elemental essences. The astrological signs have the elemental correspondences, but so do the suits of the tarot. The wands are fire, the swords are air, the cups are water, and the pentacles are earth. And I wonder... I would suppose then that the major arcana are the elements of ether. Like I said, all of these elements sort of combine with one another, and that combination of elements gives us the quality of our experience on Earth at this time, in these bodies, in these lives. So without further ado, let's see what's coming through the ether today. Wow. Okay, cool. It's a beautiful, I love a geometrical image. Makes things so much more manageable for me. So there's this very cool point from which there extends a triangle. Super simple, like this. Basically an equilateral triangle. I'm not drawing the equilateral because I'm not. What this is showing is it's reminding us that most important this week in the ether is for you to assert the authority of your perspective. It's saying that if you respond to events as they arise, you're going to tend and trend towards polarization. If you wait for things to happen to understand how you see them, your perspective is going to be flavored with the density of manifestation. It will be, what you see will be influenced by what has occurred or what has manifested, as opposed to what this image is guiding us. It's to remind us to assert the authority of your perspective, to in some ways put the cart before the horse, and to know first, see, and then understand, as opposed to having something happen, seeing it, and then making a decision about whether that is real or true or false. So this is an empowering message that says, and because it's the equilateral triangle, most stable shape right? 3, 3, 3, three sides, equal angles, everything's equal, so strong. And the idea is, it's also the fire, the symbol for fire in the elemental symbols. It's the fire symbol, which has to do with change. So it's really saying, before you go changing anything, before you go doing anything, make sure you're not just seeing things from one side. Make sure you're not being. I love the word glamour for obvious reasons. I love sparkles and glitter and awesome outfits. Just was just having a conversation with my dad, and I said, "What matters, Daddy? You know what really matters in this world and in this life?" And he said, "To be well attired, to have a job, and everything." But I like that he started with "to be well attired." My dad always taught me that you don't always have to be dressed up, but you do have to be put together. It helps to be put together, whatever that means to you. So, point being, I like glamour, but there's this other word of glamour, which is glamour, where you, the glamour of manifestation, or the glamour of the material plane, or the glamour of, worldly things and objects, and trust and believe. I have no issue with worldly objects and worldly things, and glamour and beauty and nice clothes and good food and, bling. But the idea is that if you only see that, and if your perspective is unduly influenced by what happens or what manifests, or by things, or by events, you are missing a large part of the truth, or maybe even the whole truth. So the reminder here is that when you seek to create change, when you seek to activate change within yourself and within the world, be certain that your approach is authoritative and clear and balanced before you go looking at events and manifestation and that which manifests. Be certain that your perspective is clear. Interesting. And it's, in a way, what it's saying is, first close your eyes. Remember that there's side A, side B, and the truth. Your side, my side, the truth. His side, her side, and the truth. We're getting this as a bit of a recurring theme, because maybe it is the only theme that there is to recur. One side, the other side, and then the truth. And the idea is that if you're looking around, you're going to be like a tennis match, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But if you close your eyes and actually let your gaze settle in the center, then when you open them, you see clearly. And you can see from the perspective, from this higher perspective, that perspective, this side and that side. And to some extent, even the perspective. Practical implications. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. Or everybody's right and everybody's wrong. The truth is beyond that which can be expressed through words and policy. There is your freedom, my freedom, and then the ideal of freedom. There is your definition of peace, their definition of peace, and peace, unrestrained by definition. I'm reminded of a tarot card, which is the Six of Pentacles, in which there's like a banker dude in the old classic Rider Waite. There's like a banker dude who's got some scales and he's measuring and he's giving some money to the poor, but who's really giving and who's really receiving? And there's this idea of like balance and fairness and exchange and charity and gifting and, and justice. But then there's also, and that's the pentacles, that's the earth, right? The Six of Pentacles or the Six of Discs or the Six of Coins, that's the element of earth. And this is like a denser, earthly manifestation of justice, balance, fairness. But then there is the card of justice in the major arcana. Card 11, and in some decks card 8. We'll stick with card 11 because it's got the 1 and the 1 on either side. And the idea is that true justice, Lady Justice that we see in front of the courthouses and on various seals, Lady Justice knows, is the representation of justice, free of sides, the ideal of justice, the abstract of justice. And so this is, I feel, a message coming through the ether today that is just reminding you, I dropped my pen, is just reminding you to always go to that higher understanding or ideal, to reach for that ideal of justice first. And I love the idea of closing your eyes in order to connect to that justice. Look into that inky blackness behind your eyes. Feel the light coming through your eyelids. And know that justice is neither light nor dark. It just is. It just is. Just is. Justice. Just is. It justice. It just is. It justice. Very cool. And then remember that justice is, when we talk about the divine justice or the major arcana card, it's the highest justice. The card sort of represents, old school fortune tellers will be like, oh, you've got a legal battle, or you've got to sign some contracts, or there's, a legal justice battle happening, blah. But also this ideal and idea of justice, to me, always means, when it comes up in a reading, that like whatever must happen will happen. Whatever is truly right is what will occur. And a lot of times we can learn more about what we think is right or what we believe to be right based on what has transpired in hindsight. Oh, wow, I thought I needed this, or I thought I wanted that. But now that it's turned out like this, I can see that it couldn't have been any other way. And again, that's different from what I'm saying here. It's not like wait for things to happen and then decide what you believe. It's saying, remember that there is a kind of order or a balance, a divine, a cosmic balance that is neither side, that just simply is. And that connecting to that while making changes or while activating or while, projecting your will into the world, going for what you want or what you believe in, it's important to come from that place of clarity and impartiality, objectivity, because then when something happens which causes you to feel compassion or which causes you to admit a culpability or responsibility or wrongdoing even, oh, maybe I was wrong, coming from that place of objectivity or the idea maybe it's not my side or the other side. Maybe there's something here that I haven't figured out. Let me connect to that before doing what I'm going to do anyway, right? When you activate, when you project your will into the world, when you do your thing in the world, you don't have to come at it like a mute. We're human beings. We're making choices. We're making changes. We're trying. We're fighting for what we believe in. That's what last week's readings were very much about. We're going to bat for whatever it is that's beating in our hearts. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes rightness and wrongness are very relative to the moment, and there is some other balance of truth which we are, exploring and searching and seeking and finding. So even if you're coming from that place of stillness and balance and objectivity and clarity and objective justice, even if you're willing to be wrong, especially if you're willing to be wrong, you can then make another choice and adapt and change. But the idea is that you don't want to just make your decisions based on what you're seeing or on what's happening. You want to make your decisions and your choices and take your actions and activate your will based on what's still beating in your heart, even after connecting with the closed eyes to the center, which is neither your way nor the other way. P.S. This manifests in different stages. So like I said, there's this cosmic, this divine justice. There's this global justice, which, look, again, guys, like not, there's no politics in this. I'm like apolitical when I'm doing readings. It's not about my beliefs or, I mean, really, I have very few beliefs. Love is a belief of mine. Death is a fact. Dying is a belief of mine. It's a fact. Don't need to believe. Love is a fact. Death is a fact. Leave it at that. But when you look at the world and you think about the fact that we're all same species, many different colors, genders, faces, identities, ideas, we're all consensually, I think, on the same planet. We know it's round now. It's not flat. This is our home. The animals do their part. The plants do their part. The ecosystems and the weather and all of this stuff does its part. But reality is we are the stewards of this earth. So in terms of global justice or global truth, global order, global justice, because that's really what we're talking about, global justice. It's like, this is our place. So whether you believe in global warming or not, whether you are afraid of the seas rising or not, whether you want fossil fuels or not, bros, I like plastic, I have plastic stuff. It's not easy to be the perfect environmentalist 24/7. But if you connect to that part of yourself that knows this is our planet, this is our home, this is our place to take care of, it might make it a little easier to make more informed choices about what you're doing and what's going on here, as opposed to just looking at what's manifesting, like, plastic bags, corporations, fossil fuels, that stuff. Or, crazy hippie environmentalists and vegans and, the organic lifestyle, right? Do you see how neither of those things necessarily get at the truth, at the reality that this is our home? And whether we make the right choices or the wrong choices, or no matter what we think are the wrong choices or the right choices, there is a truth, which is that this is our place and the choices that we make matter. So rather than justifying those choices by observing the manifestations that have already occurred, can we come from that place of central truth as to, what happens when you connect to that quiet place within, and what are the values that arise up in your heart when you are not looking at the sides? Because remember, everyone believes that they are right. As we said earlier, nobody's right, nobody's wrong, everybody's right. There's something in between there, which is the truth. Step it down from the divine to the global to the national, right? Policies, ideologies, What is America? What is the UK? What is France? What is, what is Sri Lanka? Polarity doesn't really help there. Believing I'm right and they're wrong and I'm right, they're right and I'm wrong, doesn't really do you any good if you start with that. But if you connect to quiet, center, what matters to me, I believe in such and such a thing. That matters to me. Whether you agree with me or not, whether anyone else agrees with you or not, the guidance here is that before you make the changes, connect to the quiet, connect to the center, connect to the stillness, and then you'll see all sides more clearly. You'll be able to conserve energy, and the choices that you make will be aligned with at least the best and highest good that you can embody, engage with, understand. Cart before the horse. And then again, community, same difference. We are right, they are wrong. They are right, we are wrong. What are you fighting for? This is not to say don't fight. This is not to say surrender your rights or give up your power. It's just saying that if you are protesting, marching, fighting with legislation, making phone calls, you could be a crazy person screaming nasty invectives at the good guys or the bad guys, or the bad guys or the good guys, or the bad guys or the good guys. Why do you need to scream? If you scream, you scream. It happens. But my feeling, based on what's coming through here right now, is when you see both sides clearly, it makes your approach balanced. It allows love to emerge from your heart, compassion, understanding, to see, you believe so hard, you believe so hard. Why are you fighting so hard? We can maybe find more of an agreement if we are both coming from the center. Compromise. Okay? And then individually, internally, be very careful when you start pointing fingers. Be very careful when that rage comes out of you. That rage, that fire. I don't remember if this was last week or the week before, but that rage, that fire, when it burns too hot, it burns you up and everything around you up. And we don't need more fire right now. We need more space. We need more ether. Fifth element, combination of everything in balance. And so the idea is when you close your eyes and you connect to the quiet, quiet space, to the quiet center, it makes it so much easier to see your righteous beliefs and to accept your own culpability and shortcomings, whatever. Just remember that when you point your finger at someone and say, you're doing this, that's somewhere in you. That's somewhere in you. And if you can say, you're doing this, oh wait, I'm doing this too in some small way, it can give you the understanding and compassion that, as far as I can tell, is really the only thing that's going to be able to get through and cut through the bullshit on both sides of the fence, on both sides of the aisle, on both sides of yourself, on the light side and the shadow side. And it's the only thing that really can bring resolution, ultimately. So, wow, I love this. So the affirmation this week for ether. Thank you for the justice in the silence. That's it, guys. Thank you for the justice in the silence. Thank you for the justice in the silence. Thank you for the justice in the silence. So there's just a little something in here too, which is saying, please go in this week. Please meditate a little more. I mean, I have people all around me that don't close their eyes ever, that don't get quiet ever. And what's cool about this is the idea is close your eyes and express gratitude by saying, thank you for the justice in the silence. Thank you for the justice in the silence. Thank you for the justice in the silence. People have been saying to me, oh, I unplugged from social media for a minute, or oh, I didn't watch CNN today. And there's a beautiful prayer in there, but this is an affirmation too, to remind you that there's always more justice in silence than there is, I'm sorry, not in silence, not in your own silence, but in the silence. True justice is in the silence. When you wake up, fight, fucking fight if you must, because we are alive, we have wills, we have all of the elements within us, and if you've got fire pouring out of your face, breathe, dragon, breathe. But coming from the space of silence, you're much more likely to make it a purifying fire, a warming fire, a transforming fire, as opposed to a destructive fire, a toxic fire, or a wildfire. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the honor of being able to do these readings for you every week. They are keeping me going. So thank you. On to the next.